2025, 5:01 p.m. Call to order. Any public input? We see no public. Mr. Strong's, but probably not. So we're going to move on to the minutes. Board minutes from 3/27/25.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion on the matter? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the positive, 1 abstention. Executive Director report.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
All right, as far as the Peckham Water Supply Board connection, I guess notably, we did receive a water quality analysis from the City of East Providence. They've been working with their own independent consultant on this, and they provided also conceptual plans for the blending and treatment station. And yeah, as I mentioned before, the decision's been made to, initially there was going to be 2 separate facilities, but looking into it, you know, it didn't really make a lot of sense to do it that way. So a beta group and their water quality consultant, we've taken the information provided by East Providence, kind of combined the 2, and the plan now is to design a 1 station for both communities to be sited at the water tank facilities at East Providence. That's going to require a little bit of change, so we're anticipating they're working on an amendment and an updated schedule. As far as the other aspects of the project, I did receive a really comprehensive update on all the other aspects of the project, and we hope to be receiving some deliverables with respect to some of the crossings within the coming month. And we just continue to, you know, keep on them to kind of keep this project going.
With the mixing place,
Yeah.
that is split, just divided by 2 on the cost relative?
Yeah, you know, we haven't really worked those details out at this point. You know, how it came about too is, you know, initially we were looking at siting a facility at the Knights of Columbus.
Right.
Plug Avenue, which, you know, and you're going to have chemicals here, and I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's really a kind of residential neighborhood. It didn't seem to me to make a whole lot of sense. And we both have to do the same thing. We're both getting the same type of water, right? So, and siting it at the Kent Heights facility. I mean, so that facility is already a water supply storage, and they do a little bit of treatment there already, so you know, it makes sense. So I think operationally we can, you know, we should be able to come to some type of an agreement on that, how we get there, but those details haven't been worked out yet.
The cost relative to that is one thing, but each town has to sample, correct, and send in the reports like we, you know, to the Department of Health.
Right.
So you're sampling the same water, would they accept it as, or is that just something that's got to come up and go?
Yeah, it's got to come up, yeah. We'll have to work out the details with the Department of Health and whatnot, all that too, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not, you know, insurmountable, you know, but it's, you know, it makes more sense than having 2 independent facilities. As far as the treatment plant and for a new maintenance garage, we're going to be talking about that again, I guess in the executive session, but we developed a draft RFP. And we moved forward with conceptual plans for a new maintenance garage in-house. We advanced that, you know, things that we're looking for that facility, and we're seeking a task order from Power Corporation to give us a cost to design it. As far as the dam, it's been quiet up there. They were scheduled to return late April, or we are late April, early May. I would imagine at this point they're probably pretty busy working somewhere else and work a little bit of an afterthought, but there's still some final minor grading to be completed, and we do have some planting work to get done up there, so We'll go wait and see when they'll come back.
Has anyone sent them a reminder?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And we have representatives from DEM, Dam Safety Program. They came on site on April 4th. They were very pleased with what they saw because there's no longer dams there, so they take that off their list. And it resolves a consent agreement that kind of started this whole dam removal process in the first place. Lead service line replacement program, the contractor is remobilized, commenced work on the program. As of the writing of my report, let me call, might have more information today, but there are 15 remaining public site services to be replaced, mostly on state roadways. We're still waiting to get permits from DOT. I've updated the lead service line replacement chart. We continue to get some new information, particularly with some of the unknowns on the project side. For the Thumb Avenue tank, I have an RFP in development for a wireless communications company to lease space in the tank. And we should get that hopefully issued sometime in May, I'm anticipating at this point. Water purchases for this month were down. If you look at the chart, it's probably it's the smallest that we've had in the past 5 years. And as far as personnel and training, we're pleased to welcome Jack Olette as a newest water utility operator. He started a couple of weeks ago. He's been fitting in just fine. We've also advertised in local papers for seasonal summer laborers. If you know anybody, please have us fill an application. We haven't had a lot of responses to date, but we're paying $20 an hour for someone to help fill in some of the gaps this summertime. We had 11 employees attend the spring conference from the Northern Waterworks Association in Worcester. This conference is an annual conference and provides employees a good opportunity to attend technical sessions and obtain their continuing ed credits. If you recall, this is also the time when our Crackerjack team would always win hydrogen hysteria. Unfortunately, that program is no longer happening with Waterworks. It's really unfortunate because everyone, we all look forward to seeing them compete and take home a trophy each year. So I don't know if it didn't go away because we dominated for so long. It's for other reasons.
I think that's why.
Yeah. We started our spring hydrant flushing. We put notices in the paper. It's on our Facebook page. And we continue to put notices in the paper every Wednesday for all the local papers. We can have a flushing schedule there. Flushing is done at night, so we don't have the disturbances, during the daytime. And I have my capital improvement budgets here. Not much has happened. Things are starting to start again, so let us see. Okay, that concludes my report. Any questions?
Motion to accept the report. So moved. Second.
Second?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Report's accepted. Finances.
You want to do,
Skip over Mike.
Mike and
Usually takes up a lot of time. We're gonna swoop right enough. Mike, you wanna?
Colin?
I don't really.
He's got pictures. Maybe I'm at it.
The report is quite thorough, so I mean, the guys are busy. We're kicking off the season, but if anyone has any questions, I highlighted a couple of things as relates to our properties. But yeah, we're just getting going for the year here. So, any questions?
One of the things we have a phase 1 dam inspection that's due for the, is it the Warren Dam? The Swansea Dam? through Massachusetts DEP. They have their own dam program, and they seek out people who need technical assistance. So we said sure. So they're paying for the consultant to do the project for us.
Anything else? Technology?
Do you want to go, Colin?
Sure, I just have a couple of updates about the current and upcoming capital improvement projects. So as we all know, we already got approved for the 1.5 million for this year's capital improvement project, and we have had some correspondence with them. They are planning on beginning that project in July of this year due to Child Street being a bus route, and Bristol has some construction limitations due to the 4th of July celebration. And as far as the 2024 capital improvement project is concerned, they returned on March 31st to do renewals in the town of Bristol. And as of this report, all of those renewals have been completed, and they're just waiting on, as Steve mentioned, the road opening permits to complete the rest of the renewals.
So the Gooding Avenue thing won't start until after the 4th of July?
Correct.
Great parade.
Don't get between Bristol and the 4th of July. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's, I think they want almost everyone off the road by June 1st, so it's kind of,
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I played the game a little bit, so, but it's just. That's good.
Just a quick update on the IT. So the security camera work is going well. They've been very active working throughout the system, putting out cameras. We have our the new security system going to be online starting tonight for this building here. So it's going well.
All right. Finance. All right. First month of the new year. A little bit quicker since we don't have a cumulative, since March is the only month. So March's revenue is down almost 6% compared to last year. Just decreased consumption. Kind of in line with where it was a couple years ago, but it is down. Expenses for March are a little bit lower, 1.23%. The three big things in there where there's a decrease in admin expense due to a little lower public relations and advertising, just probably timing. In terms of when we did, probably, I don't even know if we started paying for the annual report last year. We put a deposit down, but it's probably timing.
Yeah, and that's going to change too, because we're not going to be using that for the annual report this year.
We're not, all right. That's why we didn't pay them in March. The decrease in operations other expense, and that was largely due to those, about $7,200. There was some minor auto repairs last year, a little bit higher last year, and gas and fuel is down a little bit versus the prior year, which is kind of weird. And then there was, those decreases were offset by just depreciation and amortization being a little bit higher, and that's just a standard journal entry. Actual versus budget, revenues over budget, 11.3%. Like I said this the last couple of years, I spread the budget out over the course of the 12 months based on kind of like the average of the last 4 years. So that's part of the reason why it might be a little more over budget than usual, because last March was kind of a high March, but the previous 3 were a little low. Expenses were under budget about 15.28%. A lot of that, again, is majority of that's due to timing. The 3 biggest ones under budget are professional fees, purchases of water, and salaries and wages operations, which was under budget about $2,700. Professional fees is obviously just due to bills. We haven't had that many professional bills in March as of yet. Water's lower due to lower consumption, and salaries and wages is under budget, probably due to timing of raises and how I allocate the wages during the year. When we looked at March, they're pretty much in line with last March, so I'm not quite sure. I'm looking at the budget a little bit more, but it might just be the way I allocate it during the year. I don't just divide it by 12. I kind of weighted average it based on days
And that picks up all the holidays and overtime and stuff like that, that averages it out a little. Overtime was lower for March than what it has been, so. Pages 6 through 8 are the dollars billed and the gallons delivered. Both of them are down versus the prior year. The consumption's down, some of that consumption's down due to Joe had converted, we did have some commercial and municipal accounts that were monthly, and he converted them to quarterly. So some of that consumption is due to, some of those bills not quite catching up yet, so that should even itself out pretty much by March, April, May. So by the time we get to June, that should be worked itself out, so going forward, everything is quarterly. So it should smooth itself out a little bit. So both of those are down. Consumption, like I said, is down for March, but if you look, it's kind of in line with where it was in 23 and 22, even 21, so it's down, but it seems in line with prior years. Last year and the year before were kind of like anomalies. Now the big one, the trust report. This one, Steve even called me on, it looked weird. Debt service ratio is really high, 11.77, which is higher than our normal. I looked into this over 3 days because I had to put it down for a little while because my head was getting stuck in numbers. And so I put it down, looked at it, put it down, looked at it, checked the formula, compared it to last March. Some of the things are that the formula starts with what's in that revenue fund account, and then it adds in receipts, revenue from operations, and interest income. The revenue from operations, that's really cash receipts that I transfer into the revenue account. That's about $350,000 higher than last year, so that's part of the equation. And then it subtracts down below in the transfers, there's a to-from operating cash account, it's $470,000. That's the amount we transfer out to go into the operating account to fund April's cash disbursements that we need. That's lower by about $255,000, and that's because we got a reimbursement for some of the dam work in April, so I didn't have to use some of the money I transferred in at the end of February. At the end of every month, I transfer in what I estimate is going to be the operating cash needs. So I didn't know we were going to get the check, so we get the check, so I didn't need as much money. So that factor, because you got almost a $600,000 swing between those two, and then you divide it by the debt service, that $4.232 million, and I de-annualize that. So those two things, plus the revenue fund account started out a lot higher than it did last year, like 6.7 million higher. I don't expect that to grow as much as it did this past year because we didn't take out any bonding. So any and all of our normal capital stuff that we're doing this year is coming out of operations. So I would not expect that number to increase as much as it did between, March 1st of 24 to March 1st of 25. So those kind of three factors really skewed that number up. I suspect it'll be similarly high in April because we also got another reimbursement for the dam, $300,000 and change. So I suspect that it'll be a little bit high in April as well. It should, I would think, slowly start to trickle down. We do have a payment for the Webster bonds that goes out in April, so that'll help knock it down a little bit. But yeah, that was a very shocking thing when it first came out. I just shook my head. I had to look at it for a couple more times. But like I said, we've been building up cash in anticipation of that project, and that's where the cash sits, is in that revenue.
What's our interest rate on that, on the cash sitting in there?
I don't even know. I'd have to look. It's nominal. It's not anything spectacular. I think it's all kind of like government securities kind of things. But it's a lot. Before you got here, when the interest rate was almost zero,
Yeah.
it was like $500 a month, and then it started getting big to the point where I have to start accruing or recording the receivable for the next month's interest. Because before I didn't have to, because it'd be like $1,000, so you would never see it on the financial statements. All of a sudden, when it started going up, I'm looking, I'm like, why does interest look so low? I'm like, oh, so now I have to book a receivable every month for the next month because they pay in arrears, right? So they pay in March 1st for February's interest, so I have to book that. But it's in government type securities, safe stuff. They don't obviously want you to lose any value in it. And some of it goes into the project fund that we have, and the rest goes into these debt service funds that we have for the various 7 or 8 bonds that we have. So it's helping bring those up as well. The last page is the pension summary report. It decreased for the month by quite a bit, 163,000 due to unrealized losses. The pension year is June, so we still have, 3 more months after that to maybe recover. But for the pension year through March, it had a slight increase, like $2,100, and that's just due to contributions and unrealized gains exceeding the withdrawals for the year. We did have one withdrawal last pension year. So that's pretty much it. The fund with the debt service coverage ratio.
Dan, I got one question for you on page 3.
Page 3. Page 3, yep.
Two accounts in current liabilities, I just want to make sure I understood what they are. The 2501, 503, 505, and the difference between expected and actuals and projected.
Yep, that's the actuarial stuff.
Yep.
I don't think at this point in time, when I created these March, I don't think I had made the adjustment yet for February, which would flow into these obviously. But those, I make those, actually those won't change until like September, when we get the pension numbers. The ones below that, that 2506 and 2507, that's the OPEB. Those numbers, when you see April's, will be changed because I got that report from the OPEB probably early last week. And I recorded that entry for February 28th, which will obviously flow through. But those first 3, that has to do with the pension.
Okay.
And then the next 2 down there have to do with the OPEB. Like I said, you will see the OPEB ones changed in April. You won't see those ones for the pension change until, like I said, probably September statements. They usually get those numbers in September-ish.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, Dan?
Mr. Chairman, made it.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Thank you for noticing. Okay. The next item on the agenda, anybody have any requests regarding the town council? No? Next item is executive session. We have a number of items. Do we have a motion?
Motion to executive session based on the listed Rhode Island General Law regulations.
Second.
A motion, second. All those in favor going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. We're going into executive session. Open session.
Motion to seal the executive session.
Second.
Okay. On the agenda, we have a board.
I have a motion and I have a second. Director.
Okay. We have a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Meeting minutes.
Motion to approve litigation North Farm as discussed.
No.
No, we're on number 8.
Number 8, board 3-year bond council services agreement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those any other discussion?
Can I, on 8, please?
Sorry, Sandy Mack.
Sandy
Mack.
Sandy Mack.
Mackel Associates.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. We don't have on here.
We need to do something.
We don't really need to.
That's what I figured.
It's not on the agenda. So you can't vote.
Some direction.
Just to put it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Just wanted your blessing, more or less.
As one of his duties.
next scheduled meeting.
The next scheduled meeting is May 29th. That's a different day than was originally scheduled. Okay.
Yes, just one.
So mark your calendar. It'll be at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
It'll be at 5 o'clock that night.
Right.
It's on May 29th.
What's the 5th?
The annual
Put it in your
meeting.
phone. Set an alarm for it.
Don't get on Route 95 at 4.
Do we have two meetings? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, we're adjourned.
All in favor of the motion to adjourn?
Aye. Say aye.
Aye.